Welcome to another Arthritis Help Movement Improvement session where you learn to move differently so you can feel better. I'm Dr. Dave, physical therapist, and today we're going to be talking about tips and tricks for getting up the stairs with less pain, less effort, and more strength just by making a couple of key alterations to your technique, figuring out how to use your body in a way that maximizes efficiency, that makes you stronger without having to even build more muscle, right? It takes what you already have and makes you use it to your fullest potential. It's a really nice tip that I use with all my patients every day when they're having knee pain, hip pain, or even back pain and going up the stairs. For this one, all you're going to need is a step that you can work with. I recommend to start a 4-inch step, but really, you can use anything even as high as a standard step, 8 inches. It's just going to be a little tougher to get the technique on the higher steps. If you have something a little smaller, a lower box that you could stand on, that would be ideal. And of course, if you have any balance issues, make sure there's something near that you can hold on to. But before we get into that, I just want to remind you that I did create a 10-minute-a-day full body strengthening program just for you. You can click on the link in the description of this video and you can download it straight to your inbox, all for free. Real simple, just in case you wanted to get a little bit stronger to help you get up those stairs. All right, so let's go get started. So here we are. I have a 6-inch box here that I'm going to be using for demonstration, and we're going to start just by putting one foot up on the box and getting yourself set. So the most important thing about going upstairs is your setup. It's not the push to get up. The push is actually fairly simple. It's about how you set your body up for the push. So when we're standing, we're going to start 1 foot back, 1 foot forward, and we're just going to see that in this case, the body weight is lined up over the back foot. All the weight is on the back foot. Now, in order to be able to go up a step, all of that weight, your entire center of gravity, has to wind up over the front foot. If it doesn't wind up on that front foot, that's when you wind up doing things like jumping off the back foot or pulling on the banister, and those are all dangerous and not really ideal for efficiency when we're trying to drive up. So how do we shift weight from the back foot to the front foot? What I see, the most common mistake I see, is that people lean their knee way far forward over the toe and they try to push up from there. And in doing so, that creates a lot of stress in the front of the knee, and if you have any knee arthritis problems, it is a killer. So what we're going to do is we're going to find this little move, which is tricky but so important and fundamental for going upstairs. What you're going to do is you're going to get your body weight over your front foot, but by throwing your hips backwards and your head forward so that your shin is perpendicular to the ground, lining up right on top of your heel. Okay? We're going to try that move one more time. You're going to pull your knee backwards and your hip backwards, and your head goes forward. That's the counterbalance, so that your shin is perpendicular to the ground, lined up right over the heel, and the weight is on this front leg. We're not going to try to step up. We're just going to get that weight on the front leg. And you should feel at this point that the weight on the back foot is pretty light, right? It's not pinned down. If you feel like all the weight's still on your back foot, you shifted the weight back, but you didn't bring the center of gravity forward, okay? So you can't be leaned back, and that shin is probably tipped backwards in space. So let's try that a couple more times. This idea of being able to bring your center of gravity forward, your head forward, your butt back, your knee back, the shin straight up and down, so that way it's built up over the heel. And that back foot should become light. You should be able to almost pick it up off the ground without having to tip further forward. So see if you can do that. Straight up, hips back, head forward, shin up and down, and see if you have something to hold on to for balance. Can you lighten up that back foot? Even some people might be able to lift it, maybe not. Doesn't matter if you can or not. Just feel that all that weight is on the front leg. Okay? If you can do that, you are 90% of the way into getting upstairs much more simply and much more easily. I know it looks like a simple thing, but it really is complicated, and it takes people a while to figure that out. Once you figured out that movement of being able to pull the hips back and the head forward and the shin up and down, the next key is, how do we push down in order to drive up? what you want to think about is your heel. Your heel, in this case, is going to be the connecting point to the floor, and it is what's going to drive you up in the air. If you're pushing through the toes or the ball of your foot, you're going to drive all this force through the knee, which is really strenuous and ultimately painful and creates wear and tear through that knee. If you can put the weight down through the heel, it will drive you up using the big muscles of your butt and of your thighs. So what I want you to think about now, we're going to get into that same position, butt back, knee back, head forward, shin perpendicular, and without stepping up, you're just going to push your heel down into the box as though you were going to step up. Just feel that there's a downward push from there, and that should make you feel like muscles in the thigh are working and muscles in the butt are working. If you can feel both of those things working, you are doing great, because those are the powerhouse muscles that you want to use. If you're feeling any pain in the bony areas, the front of the knee, the sides of the knee, or even your low back, that is not good, right? That is strain, so you want to alter your technique. Now, when you're pushing, you want to make sure that as you push, that your hip isn't flying out or back, that you are restraining that movement of the hip going out or back with the muscles that curl your pelvis under. So you're pushing down through the heel and restraining this movement in any direction. So when you push, there's not a lot of movement. Everything is stable, everything is corralled. So the force that you push with brings your body up and just doesn't bring your hip back or out to the side. For some people, that's a very tricky maneuver, and if it's not perfect, that is fine. As long as you have a little bit of control over that, you'll do much better. All right, here's the very last thing. When you are pushing up, I want you to think that this knee is moving backwards in space. That is a key change that I make with a lot of people that have pain, and it goes from pain to no pain sometimes, is that as you're set up, when you push up, that knee pulls backwards in space as you make your way up. Okay? You don't want that knee to come forward as you go through, then all that stress goes forward. And if you try that, stand upright, pull the knee forward and push, you might feel like, oof, that's painful, or you might feel more strain in the knee. When you throw the hips back, and you put that shin straight up and down, you pull that knee backwards in space, it drives the force straight down through the shin bone into the box to drive you up to the step. Okay? So when you're going up steps, I want you to think about, just to recap, these few key things. Set yourself up by bringing your head forward and your butt back, your shin perpendicular, pushing down through the heel, pulling your knee back in space so you can rise up onto the box. Okay? If you're thinking there's no way I can think about all those things every step, don't worry. Just take a little bit of practice. Practice it at home, and after you get the feeling, I promise as you go upstairs, you're going to be searching for your heel. You're going to be searching for that efficiency to drive up, and you will feel more powerful and less painful as you go up those stairs. A little bit of practice really translates into execution, and you're going to get stronger and you're going to feel more comfortable. So I hope that's helpful for you. Quick tip to get upstairs a little easier, a little quicker. I'll be back with you all next week with a whole new video teaching you how to move differently so you can feel better. Take care, everyone.